All right, what's next for Francis? Right? What's next? Now, I wish I could go into the comment section and hold up and show you a theme of a message, because I've gotten so many. There's so many people that have the same idea and the same theme, which is Francis is going to go make a whole bunch of money fighting much easier opponents. That's the answer. And then a couple of guys will even expand on that. He's going to fight for a whole bunch of money with easier opponents and then return to the UFC and return at a much higher value. Okay. Who's he going to fight? What's the money going to be? I mean, it's one of these really bizarre things where people will just come out and make a statement. He's going to get a whole bunch of money. He's going to fight easier opponents. Okay, what is a whole bunch of money? I mean, we have a bar that we can judge it off of, which is what he was making. We have another bar, which is what he was offered and could have been making. So what is a whole bunch of money, and who are these opponents? Who's going to sign that? And it's an interesting spot. And believe it or not, even as you hear me based on my tone, pulling for him here. Pulling for him, and I'm interested. I just have to also look at reality. I mean, at some point, I've got to stare reality right in the face. And the reality is there's only been a handful of fighters who could draw, who were interesting, who you guys wanted to see, regardless of who their opponent was. And there's only a couple right now. I could do damn near anything I wanted in any sport I wanted with Nate Diaz. That'll work. I could do damn near anything in any weight class with Conor McGregor. And you want to know who the third one is? You guys aren't going to like this. You want to know who the third one is that could do anything that he wants? Jake Paul. And that's not going to be true forever. But whatever Jake does next and first in MMA, it could be against the slam dunk champion. It could be it. That's going to work. Now, adversely, we put Francis into a mega fight with Ciryl Gane. A mega fight. The single greatest storyline in heavyweight history. That's true. And I won't tell you what it drew. But I will tell you it got outdrawn by Oliveira versus Gaethje. Just so you understand. So what do we do now? Who do we go with? Who's the guy? And who are these people that you think are just going to go write these checks? I mean, that's also another baffling one for me. I got to read those comments. Here's what he's going to do. With who? Right? Like, there's a value and there's a number. And that value and that number used to be juxtaposed against the number of the Ultimate Fighting Championship. The Ultimate Fighting Championship is still going to be the one that juxtaposes the number. That number just changed from 7 figures to 0. If I was going to get in the sweepstakes, I'm competing against 7 figures. If I'm going to get in the sweepstakes, I'm now competing against 0. Whoever the first guy to the table is with $1 is now the high bidder. So where does this whole bunch of money come from? What are we comparing against that? And there are promoters, believe me, I've seen them over time, that will negotiate against themselves. For sure. But if you're the only one at the table, if you don't have an opponent, how much can you do? Are we doing checkers? Is it one night only? Are we playing a game of chess? Are we setting something up? Are we looking to the future? I don't have the answers to this. It's a very precarious position. I read the comments by the fans that say he's going to go make $10 million boxing with somebody. And there was some guy that posted, oh my goodness. He said, the boxing world is Francis's oyster. Now, if you ever use the comparison and call something your oyster, you're a weird dude. Just to start with. I mean, oysters are slimy and they're disgusting. So if you ever use it, you're a weirdo. He did use it, and then he stated who? Fury and Wilder. And he threw one more in there. He threw 3 boxers in there. The boxing was Francis's oyster, and he's got his choice. He's got to pick him. He could be in there with Fury or Wilder or Usyk. Okay. Fair enough. I don't know where those things come from. I don't know where those pipe dreams and those ideas come from. But it works half the time. Believe me, I see politicians doing it all the time. They'll come out and they'll tell you what a problem is. They'll never state for you of how they're going to deal with it or how they're going to fix it. They'll just tell you what the problem is. So now you got the fans doing that. Francis, you're going to go make a whole ton of money against easier opponents. Which, first off, I got to stop you right there. You don't know who's who. You don't know what an easy opponent is. There was a guy with no experience that stumbled to America and somehow got licensed. He got licensed because he had a whole bunch of muscles and his hair was kind of long and he was interesting. He had no background and he had no chance. You couldn't tell me who his coach was. You to this day could not tell me what the gym he trained at was. You would have nothing on the guy. Oh, by the way, that guy is named Francis Ngannou. So when you come and you act as though you know who's who, you know what an easier opponent is or harder opponent is, you don't. You would have no way to know. You don't have enough reference. You don't have enough database. You never thought Sergey Pavlik was a good fighter until 2 fights ago. The truth is, in that division, Daniel Cormier could take that tie off, enter the cage, and still be champion to this day. You don't really know who's out there. You don't really know who's who. You don't really know who's going to draw. You don't really know where this money is coming from. You really don't know if this boxing's the real deal. So it's a tough and it's an interesting spot. I do think that you need to keep one thing in mind, which is when we talk about what Conor McGregor is going to do when he returns, the leading candidate for that sweepstakes is Nate Diaz. Now, you know that Nate has been released. You know that Nate is a free agent. You know that before that happened, Nate was offered Conor and he said no. And you're right on all of those things. The leading candidate is still Nate Diaz. When you're a free agent, you're free to go anywhere. You're not banned from over here. And for whatever reason you would want to enter free agency before coming back, possibly a bad decision. But I just want to let you know. Free agent means you're free to go anywhere. That includes take a little time. Take your oars out of the water. Recover. Watch what happens. And possibly return.